Well, hello, friends and family. It is that time of the week again. We are going to do a garden walk around, and I'm going to show you some of the projects I did this week and some of the changes in the garden because everything changes so much in one week. Anyway, it's kind of a spotty day, sun, then rain, so hopefully we can get through this without too many rain delays. Anyway, let's get to walking. So my favorite lamb's ear got decimated this week with some of the heavy rains we got. So I think I'm going to go ahead and probably cut that back today and let it recover. It'll grow back pretty quickly. Within a couple weeks it'll start looking good again. My barberry is so bright right now. I just absolutely love it. And the ajuga's looking good. The cherry tree survived another week. The deer didn't touch it. Gonna have to respray it though with all the rain. The flowering currant is pretty much spent as far as the blooms. And as you can see, we have some currants forming. Everything's looking pretty good. My mesquite lilacs are in full bloom, just the 2 blooms I got. I did remove one of the Jupiter's beard from here and put it in a pot in the back, and I'll show you that when we get back there. It's not doing too well, but I think it'll rebound eventually. One of my comfreys is in bloom, and this one has pretty little pink purple flowers. Everything's looking really good. And one of the plants that I forgot last week right here is a stilby. And I got this astilbe for free, and it's never bloomed before. But this one looks like it's gonna finally bloom. I have some blooms right there. I'm so excited. And over here on this side, I really want to get some more plants in here this year. This is full sun almost right here on this end, but as we move closer in, it gets more full shade because of the plum trees. And these do produce fruit. So, not every year. Sometimes it seems to be a biannual. It'll do it one year and then the next year I get nothing. Oh, and here comes the rain again. It's been raining pretty heavy the last couple days. The hostas are all really starting to look good and open up. The lamium's doing great that I put in here. Lungwort is almost done blooming, but the foliage is just so pretty. And this week I took to pruning off any of the dead branches on the hydrangeas. I think they had gotten as far as they were going to get, especially these 2 over here. So we shall see if we get some blooms. Ever since I planted them, they don't really bloom too often. They're the Annabelle. They're a big white bloom, but they only bloom the first year I got them. This hydrangea, I don't know the cultivar, but it is just the prettiest little purple flowers, and they've kind of got an unusual shape. The tree's coming along nicely. It should be grown halfway up that wall by the end of the month. And over here by my compost bin, I've got my other hydrangea and a little topiary I started in that pot because the deer were eating it to death. And they don't seem to touch it as long as it's close to the house. The pots on the porch are looking really good. The boxwood is starting to leaf out, and in a couple more weeks it'll be ready for a trim, and I'm training that into a topiary shape. So I'll bring up just a tiny bit from the bottom and just make it a little bit more perfectly round. The brunnera is looking really good. We've got a couple new leaves growing down here at the bottom. And the fern and the lamium like it up here. The foam flowers are still looking beautiful, and that lamium likes that. And then a new project I started this week, I ordered these 3 baskets from Temu for $12, and I filled them with creeping Jenny and some petunias. And I pinched the petunias back. They're the wave petunias, but when they get going, they should start hanging off the sides and down toward the ground. And they're a really small basket. I think they were like a 10-inch. But this porch, I don't have a whole lot of room for big baskets. They just kind of get in the way of walking around the porch, so I thought this size was nice. And my purple sage is looking beautiful. It is the only sage I have in the yard now because my white sage bush died from the freeze this winter, so I need to get another white sage plant. Curly willow is getting nice and tall. And one of the other plants I forgot the name of, the red tip photinia, is something that I put in this year. It's looking great. It's got lots of fresh new growth. The snowball viburnum, I cut all of the snowballs off this week, and it's pushing out lots of new growth. So it's probably grown about 6 inches this week. The hedge is filling out nicely. Not a lot going on here in the vegetable garden yet. The peas are coming up. Oh, and we've got a couple summer squash finally. I was getting worried. Strawberries are looking great. And we've got some Swiss chard. And we have a couple little beetroot in there. You can hardly see them because they're red. Still nothing on the yams, but we've got spinach popping up here and there. And we've got zinnias and some spinach over here. Turnips and radishes are looking good. And some more zinnias in this one. Kale is growing nicely. Got one nice big leaf right there. And then this last week I put the climbing beans in the ground, but also on this side we have the colored morning glory coming up. And we've got the same here, so I'm going to let both coexist. And we have the same thing over here on this side. We've got beans on one side, morning glory coming up on the other. So we'll see. We're going to have beauty and function together. So one of the things I did this week in the garden was divided and moved around some of my coreopsis. So that's a big chunk that I took off of the mother plant and put in the ground. There's another one right there, and I didn't water them in. And I was a little worried about it, but then we started getting that heavy rain last night, so that was kind of nice. One of my favorite plants that is kind of going everywhere in the garden is one of my favorite plants that's popping up all over the garden is the lollipop verbena. And we've got a big one there, got some there, some back here. I put in one verbena plant and it just kind of has shown up everywhere, and I absolutely love it. There's another one right there. I also put this pumpkin plant in here, and what I'll do is I will probably have 3 or 4 pumpkin plants here in the front of the garden, and I like to keep them in the border so they spill out into the grass, and it just fills out the garden and kind of gives it a really pretty lush look. Blueberries are looking really good, and we've got several blueberries coming. Got another hydrangea that I keep under here. And another thing I did this week was to cut back some of the perennials to about 1/3 their height because I want to keep them low blooming. And so those are my daisies. And I also divided and moved around some of the ajuga. So I thinned it out in some areas where it was getting a little heavy and out of control. And I put it here in the front of this bed to fill up that space, and it'll be really pretty next year when it starts blooming and turning purple. There's some more coreopsis, and the one that I divided from is right here. I took out a pretty good sized chunk right there in the front and divided it into 3 plants. My perennial bachelor button has started to get a little too large, and you'll see it starts flopping over, so I'll be cutting that back and it'll come right back. Got lots of bumblebee activity. They are pretty happy here. Look at that cute little guy. I also got back here. Oh, and these plants that I forgot last week are called dianthus. They're pretty low growing with the greenery, but then they push up really pretty hot pink flowers. So when I started this pond plant, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it, it blooms really beautiful flowers. It just stayed in the pot in the corner, and it started to root out from the bottom, and the top died of what was in the pot, and then it put out several of these pieces of root all over the bottom of the pond. So I took the pot out and just let these go, and I'm going to try to control it because I have a feeling that it is one of those plants that could probably get out of control if you let it. So I don't know how many more I'll let go, but we'll see. I've got my red hot pokers in the back that survived, and I also cut back the tansy to about 1/3 because I'd like it to bloom at about that height. Otherwise it gets, oh, I don't know, about this height, and it's kind of a jungle back here when it's in bloom. There's my other perennial bachelor button. I absolutely love the color of this one. So unique. I have my oat grass is looking pretty good, came back this year. One of the other grasses that I really like is my zebra grass, and if you remember last week, it had no signs of stripes, but during the last week, it's starting to stripe up. And I have 2 of those flanking this arbor, and this arbor has some more Virginia creeper on it. One of the projects that I worked on this week also was cleaning up the gravel back here. This is the gravel place where pretty much all the neighbors park, but we just didn't like walking back here with the garbage and all the mud from all the cars parking, so I added this nice bit of gravel and then just a couple pots to make everything look pretty. And in these I have some pineapple sage going, and some pansies, and a couple of blue evergreens. I can't remember what these are called. They're a juniper, but I absolutely love the blue color. All right, I'm gonna wander over here and have a look at the lilies. The lilies have gotten nice and tall, and look at all those blooms we're gonna have on there. These are gonna be stunning this year, and they smell so good. Some of the watermelons have, well, that one came up and something ate it. So I may have to reseed the watermelon. There's 2 there, but it looks like something chewed that head off of that one. So I may be better off, instead of direct seeding, I might have to start them in the greenhouse. But I'm having a little trouble with a sneaky little squirrel who's getting in the greenhouse and eating my seeds out of the dirt. So I've got to remember to close the door on the greenhouse at night. The peonies are getting really close. I cannot wait for them to open, and hopefully we don't have the same problem we did last year Last year it was so wet that the blooms had a hard time opening and some of them rotted. The red hot pokers are actually pushing up flowers. In a couple of weeks, these will be about chest high to me, and the hummingbirds will be going crazy for them. Got a couple baskets of pansies there. And I don't see any lilies pushing up there, but there will be. My passion flower vine is still looking like it's not going to come to life, but it's always a late bloomer. The artichokes are doing really well. The grasses are getting tall back there. This little catnip mint I need to move. It's getting choked out by the lamb's ear, and I think I'm going to go for a different look. I used to have one on each side, but the one on the left died this year, so I think we'll maybe opt for something different. Maybe a couple topiaries in a pot would be nice there. This lamb's ear died in this center area where you see all this new growth, and I just cut it back and it flushes right back to life. And these are impatiens in here. They're coming up slowly, but they'll get here soon enough. And here's pink flowers on that. It's just beautiful. And there's one red hot poker lily, but something's been chewing on it, so it's not going to look too good. I don't see a whole lot more, but this is good. There's signs of life there. That root is coming back. And the green beans are growing nicely. Euphorbia looks good. This guy is getting a trim this next week. It's starting to take over all this space, and it needs to be made a little smaller. Sure is beautiful though. That's the silver fox willow. The rose campion is getting ready to bloom. It's gotten a lot taller, and I can tell from the looks of the tips there that we are going to have flowers coming through here. And there's one allium over here. And again, my Guara is just not showing much signs of life. There's just that one little one there. And I don't see anything on this side, so I'm gonna have to pull it and get new ones. The Virginia creeper on this side is the mother plant to the other arbor, so this one's much more established and grows a little faster and just filling in the space. And I'll just take these and tie these back up. And the Japanese garden is looking good. Got some new growth on that lilac tree. I'd say it's grown, oh gosh, 6 inches, 6 to 10 inches in this week. The ferns are getting ready to push out leaves. And my barberry. This juniper, I'm not sure what to do with. It is so big. But gosh, look at it. It's just happy in this spot. And the azaleas look so beautiful. This one will probably be about empty by next week. And there's, this fern has gone to town. Look at that one. What a change in 1 week. Those fronds are going to be so tall. I love it. And that one's getting ready to leaf out. I need to trim back this maple. It's getting pretty bushy. And I don't see any signs of flower on these yet. These are yucca plants. But I don't usually notice them until they're all of a sudden just there, so we'll see. And the backyard's just looking so lush, so full. Makes me really happy. Still working on getting more privacy between us and the neighbor there in that section. I would just like it to where we could be on the deck or out in the yard and I don't feel like somebody's there watching me. We've got some more. The alliums are completely blooming right now. And these, I don't know where they came from. I didn't plant them. They just showed up last year and I divided them and moved them around and they came back. Not as many as I was hoping, but they came back. My chives are looking great. The euphorbia is still that stunning chartreuse green. The lambs there that I moved around last week have survived and look like they're gonna flower. They always look a little funny though. I mean, so I'll let them flower and then I'll cut them way back. And then next year they'll look really good. This chive plant is the mother plant to all my other chives. And it was in full bloom and they're kind of dying back. So I'll just scoop all that up and give it a haircut, cut straight across soon. The rosemary looks like it might pull through. Hopefully we get some new growth on that. And we've got the lemon balm back there. That one's a bit smaller than the other. And this Japanese maple's doing really well here. I had to stake up this branch and I'm probably gonna have to do it again. It looks like with the rain, it's kind of slipped down a little, but it keeps wanting to lay down on the lambs here. My roses are about to bloom. And the other lemon balm is looking good. This plant, this Weigelia, I absolutely love this, and the hummingbirds go crazy for it. And I like to keep it pretty low. It'll grow really, really tall. And if you can see, we've got 3 bees working on it right now. So the bees, the hummingbirds, all the pollinators just absolutely love this plant. And there's so many different varieties that I would really like to get a few more. There are some that have variegated leaves. This one, I just like the maroon color of the leaves on this, but there are some that are brighter chartreuse green, and the flowers vary in color too, but this one's just stunning. I absolutely love it. In the center garden, we've got lots of our euphorbia that is surviving and popping up, and this is not blooming yet, but if you look right here, it's getting ready to. These are going to be flowers, and this is the false spirea, it's called. These daisies I did not cut back. These will get really tall. They'll probably be almost as tall as me when they start blooming, but I don't mind the height over here on this side. The spiderwort's looking really good. It's not blooming yet, but I have 2 of those here. This is a campanula, and it is a low-growing variety, and it has little purple bells that are just adorable. And these 2 I transplanted last week. They're looking a lot better too. Some more of the coreopsis that I transplanted from dividing the other plant. And the forsythias that I moved from the pots by the arbor are looking really good. I kept them in a tree form, but now that they're in the ground, I'm gonna go ahead and just let them get new growth from the base and become a shrub. And these are all my daylilies in the front. And some sedums, hens and chicks, and my little rose bush. Everything is looking really, really good. One of the things from last week that's new is this sculpture. My husband and my son got me for Mother's Day. I saw it in Bellevue Botanical Gardens gift shop and really loved it. Knew I'd never buy it for myself, so he bought it for me. I'm kind of cheap like that. I don't like to buy things for myself that are expensive. And then there's the Jupiter's beard that I moved from the front, and it looks a little sad, but if you look at these leaves, it's doing okay. It'll be fine. It's just kind of being a crybaby about being moved. I don't know if it'll bloom this year, but it'll be fine. And I've got more daisies. And another yucca. Anyway, that's about it for the day. Hopefully we get a lot more growth this week, and next week when we do our tour, there will be some new changes and updates for you. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.